And joining us now, ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington State. Congressman, good to see you this morning. We have a lot of topics to hit, but let's start right here. Your concerns about these sweeping cuts, across the government, but particularly here for veterans, those who have served their country and done for so long and so well.
Well, it's going to impact services to veterans as it's impacting services to people all across the country. There's a lot of focus, federal employees. Who cares about federal employees? There's all this bloat, bureaucracy, and everything. They provide services to our constituents. And in this case, they provide services to our veterans. And I was watching some of the Republicans talk about, well, gosh, but the Veterans Department, it's grown so much in the last few years. Well, we passed the PACT Act to expand benefits to veterans, get them benefits that they deserved and should have gotten before. So yes, it grew. It grew because we expanded the services that we're providing. And if you slash 80,000 jobs, those services are going to go down. And I think it betrays what's really going on here. It's not about government efficiency and effectiveness. It's about crippling the federal workforce because Trump sees the federal workforce as a threat to him instead of a service provider for our constituents and for the people of this country.
It seems like these cuts, the one to VA, sort of touched a nerve for some, even some Republicans who are willing to speak out publicly against what Trump and Musk were doing in a way they hadn't for all previous cuts. What was your read on what we saw yesterday, where both on Truth Social, then later to reporters in the White House, Trump saying that he's reining in Musk a little bit, saying that cabinet secretaries should be making the first decisions on cuts?
For right now, I don't buy it. I think there's been a lot of distractions throughout this process. Musk and Trump have come up with all kinds of excuses for why, it's really not that bad, or we're not going to do this. And then you wake up the next day and it's still happening. In fact, I think I saw this morning that there was a quote from Musk. It's like, yeah, the departments will do it, but if they don't, I will. All right, so I don't think anything has fundamentally changed. I think Musk and the DOGE are still intent on taking a wrecking ball to the federal government across departments. We're talking about Defense Department having massive cuts. So I think the plan is still going forward. They're just trying to spin it differently because of the pushback.
And obviously a backdrop to all this is the looming budget fight, the potential government shutdown on the horizon. How are Democrats strategizing? How are you going to approach this?
Well, it's difficult because there's two big things here. The central strategy is on the budget resolution, which is different than the FY25 fight. The budget resolution, remember, one of the other things they say about all these cuts is, my gosh, the debt, the deficit, we got to get that under control, which I have some sympathy for, except for the fact that the Republican budget adds trillions of dollars to the debt and deficit because they want to cut taxes for the wealthiest people in this country. So they're going to gut services to veterans, they're going to gut Medicaid, and they're going to add to the debt because they're intent upon adding trillions of dollars in tax cuts. So we are going to point out that giving more tax cuts to the wealthiest people in this country, who, by the way, the wealth concentration in this country is one of the greatest challenges. We were talking a little bit before about the cost of education, about what it's like now to be a working class person. So much of the power has shifted to the top 1 to 10% and away from the bottom 90. And what's Trump's economic plan? Cut the programs that are most important for the working class so you can give even more tax cuts to the people who are already raking in the money over the course of the last 40 or 50 years. So that's our plan, is to say, let's stand up for working people and not have the Republican budget.
And lastly, let's shift to Ukraine. I know you've been highly critical of President Trump's approach to this. And we should just note that even as the president yesterday has said that Russia, wants peace, they've only stepped up their bombardments of Ukraine, including some massive explosions overnight.
Well, there's two things. One, I saw Thomas Friedman's bit. He's absolutely right. Trump is not doing this because he wants to force both sides to a peace agreement. He's put no pressure on Russia. He's taken it off. He's doing it because he's sympathetic to Putin and Russia and not sympathetic to Zelensky. And I'll leave it to therapists to figure out exactly why that is, but it is absolutely true and the case. He's sympathetic to Russia, not sympathetic to Ukraine. Now, what I'm trying to do is to put pressure on Republicans to push back against this with a very simple argument. I also heard one of your previous people talking about Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize. He thinks he's going to force peace. If he doesn't put pressure on Putin, if he keeps putting all the pressure on Zelensky in Ukraine, who, by the way, had plenty of pressure on them already from Russia, He's not going to get that. And I want to point out, Neville Chamberlain did not get a Nobel Peace Prize when Hitler took over Czechoslovakia. So if you're going to want that peace prize, you better start putting pressure on Putin and Russia to force them to the table. Putin's the one who doesn't want to negotiate, and Trump's putting all of the pressure on Zelensky. It is not just a betrayal of democracy and a betrayal of our commitment to Ukraine. It's stupid if you're trying to actually get to a peace agreement. So that's the argument I'm trying to make, to force them to actually put pressure on Putin. We all want this war to stop, but what Trump is doing is going to prolong the war by empowering Putin and Russia to threaten Ukraine and then also threaten others as well.
Yeah, and we will see what happens if those meetings with Ukrainian officials set for Saudi Arabia in the days ahead. Ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington State. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Thank you.